Hello, my duckies. Welcome back to the Bastination. We got another deck profile here for you. Today, I finally got my friend here to do a deck profile of his deck. It's the Cubics. Yeah, we rarely ever see the Cubics out here. How you doing today, my friend?
All right, ready to do this?
All right, let's get to it then.
All right, so first things first, I called my deck the Cubic Revelations, because no one uses these damn things.
Interesting name.
They're from the movie, Igami uses it, blah, 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 all that stuff. So first up, I have Vijam, the Cubic Seed, 3 of them, as they are the heart of any Cubic deck ever. They're 0/0s, they can be normal summon, special summon. So what they do is if they battle, you can move them back to your continuous zone during the battle damage phase.
Ooh.
Right? You put them into your continuous zone as a face-up spell, and then you can put a Cubic counter on the enemy's monster.
Ew.
What it does is prevents that monster from attacking, and it removes. They can't use effects at all. It just completely negates the card.
Ew.
You put it dead in the water. They're the heart and soul of this deck,
It's nasty.
as well as Duza. Duza, what he does is 1600. He can be normal summon, level 4. He special summons his own way, blah blah blah. When he enters, you drop any Cubic card to your grave.
Ooh,
Spell, trap, or monster.
lovely.
And that combos with a lot of the spells you'll see later. He's the only monster next to Summoner Monk and Vijam that can be normal summoned in this deck. So you can brick
A lot of times.
But it usually works out the way I've built this, so do that.
Okay.
Summoner Monk, basically to pitch spells, get out Duza. It's just another way to get him. Plus, he's a decent wall, and you pitch those spells to get to your grave because a lot of them you need in the grave to banish them. So he's just there because, 2, whatever. These are also 3 and 3. So next up I run the fairy lineup. There's 3 ways to build Cubics. I do the fairy way. There's fairy, beast, and then you can focus on polys, which I think is horrible. Anyway, so I have fairy. So what you do, in order to get out Gyra or any of the fairy lineup, you first have to basically tribute your Cubics. So in order to get Gyra out, I need 1 Vijam or 1 Duza or one of any other Cubic. Send it to the grave, and you can play them. As you can see, they're 0/0s, so they actually have no attack. But like if you special summon them without eating, they need to feed basically. So they eat the Vijam, and his effect is he gets 800 attack, and he burns for 800. That's only if he eats one, and then if he battles, whether he wins or loses the fight, at the end of the phase you can basically pitch him to the grave, target up to 2 Vijams in your grave, special summon them, and then you can search your deck for the next fairy lineup. Vulcan Dragnai, the Cubic King. He's basically a bigger version of Gyra. It's like an evolution line.
Okay.
So there's Gyra, Vulcan, and then Indiora.
Lovely.
They all do the same thing, more or less. So he needs 1 Cubic to send to the grave in order to summon. Vulcan needs 2, and Indiora needs 3. And it can be any Cubic, doesn't have to be Vijam, but obviously Vijam and Duza are your main targets. When he enters, it burns for 8. Enters, burn for 8, burn for 8. They all do that, but he gains 800 attack, Vulcan gains 1600, and then Indiora does 2400. So
It's pretty cute.
they all get bigger and bigger. When he battles, you can target up to 3 instead of 2 Vijams, and then special summon them. And you can look for Indiora off of Vulcan.
Okay.
When Indiora, he's a bit different. He comes out, he doesn't do the whole when he battles, you can get rid of him nonsense. What he does is if he's removed, so if he's killed or just sent to the grave for any reason, you can target up to 3 of any Cubic monster in your grave, special summon them, and then look for any Cubic card and add it to your hand.
Lovely.
So,
Bigger, better.
yeah. And then they add his burn, because you're not going to be pushing through a lot of walls with this. And then finally we have the
Big Daddy himself.
boss himself, the 1-turn KO man. You get this out in your opening hand and you're in a very good spot. He's 3000 attack, 0 defense. Alright. The only way to get him out from your hand, because you can't really special summon him any other way in this deck, you have to reveal 3 Cubics with different names. 3 Cubic cards.
Just
It can be
revealing
spells.
them?
Yeah, you just reveal them,
Ew.
and then you can place him down, and he counts himself. So if your opening hand is this, you can get 2 of these out on turn 1.
Ew, that's
So
bro.
you reveal these 3, drop him, reveal these 3 again, drop the next one. And then you can normal summon your Vajam, and you're at a good spot at that point. So,
Have you ever got all 3 of them on your hand?
yeah.
Oh, that's
It's
nasty.
disgusting. Turn 1. All right. So what his thing is? So he's already a big beater. He's cannot be affected by monsters at all if their attack is 3,000 or lower. So Blue Eyes alternative can't target him, stuff like that. X, Y, Z's, anything. If he destroys a monster in combat, he can attack again, and then at the end of your turn, the owner's turn, all players burn for 3,000 damage.
Ew.
That's a lot, but it's usually enough to wipe out the opponent or even end the game in a tie, which is better than losing, I guess.
I
So,
guess.
They're the main guys. They're how I run it. There's also beasts, but I don't do them. So next up, we're going to go with the traps, because these are pretty much essential to the deck. First up is Unification of the Cubic Lords. It is the Cubic's polymerization, which you need 3 of these dudes, so you're never going to get it. You need 3 Crimsons. Basically what this does is you can put it down as a bluff, but you want to get this to the grave, because if it's in the graveyard, and a face-up cubic you control leaves the field or is destroyed for any reason, you can banish this and special summon a level 4 or lower. So usually another Duza, Indiora, or Vajam. And that's during combat most of the time, so it sets up another wall. And then they're also the polymerization, yeah, whatever. You'll never use it. Next up, I like to run Cubic Rebirth. What it does is, when I'm targeted for a direct attack, I can flip this, I target the attacking monster, and then the opponent special summons any card with the same name as the attacker. If they can't, it doesn't matter, this still gets it. All the monsters that are targeted and summoned or whatever, they get a cubic counter and their attack is dropped to 0. So they can't attack, no effects. And with this one only, they drop to 0. That's a big deal.
It'd be a nice deck to run some kaijus in it.
Yeah, I can't fit anything else in here. You got Blackhorn, you got Mirror Force, Explanatory. I run Spirit Barrier for, well, 1, these monsters aren't very tough, and 2, it allows Vajam to become a kamikaze. So, you know, this is down, they have some big whatever field, let's say they have Blue Eyes, they have some big Blue Eyes down. I'm going to take 3,000 damage. If I flip this, I can now send Vajam into a Blue Eyes, take nothing, and give it a cubic counter. And then, you know, put it back to spell, second main phase, put him in defense. It makes it so you can offense with these dudes instead of just walling up.
Clever.
Alright, next up, I have the spell pile. So I run 3 Cubic Waves. What Cubic Wave does is you target one of your cubic monsters, one of your face-up cubics, and one of their monsters. You double the attack of your cubic and halve the attack of the enemies.
Okay.
And then, you know, self-explanatory, you put it on Crimson, you win the game pretty much, because it's now a 6,000 beater. When it's in the graveyard, you can banish it and any number of cubic monsters in your grave with it, and then you can target the enemy's field for as many cubics as you dropped and give them cubic counters. So if I drop these 2 and I banish all 3, I can now target 2 of the enemy's monsters and put cubes on them. So it's another way to stall so you can get your big beaters out.
That's gross.
And
Stop
then
playing gross deck.
we have I like it too much for that. So next up, I run Cubic Karma. What it does is it's a continuous spell. You can play it from your hand. You target a face-up monster that isn't Vajam, and then you can pitch as many Vajams as you want from your deck to your grave. For each Vajam you do, your face-up cubic that you targeted will get 800 attack. Alright? And then it just stays up. So on your opponent's turn, if a Vajam is special summoned from your grave for any reason, you can pitch this and have their health. Just immediately have their life points. And then while this is in the grave, you can banish it, look for any cubic monster and add it to your hand. So you can grab Crimson, you can grab another Duza, Vajam, anything, as long as they're in your grave. I run Twin Twisters, 1 because it's a staple, and 2, it allows you to pitch cards like Cubic Karma and Unification, or even blow up your own on the field just to get them into the grave to use.
Okay.
So I can pop one of yours and pop one of mine and then use it, continue my turn.
Nasty.
It's better than MST for this deck specifically.
Yeah.
1 for 1, drop a monster, summon Vajam. Reasoning, I use it for 2 reasons. One, it's good to get out Vajam or Duza because they are your bread and butter. You need
Okay.
them. It also, if it goes on long enough without you revealing, you self-mill yourself, which allows you to get extra copies of Karma or Unification if you're lucky, or even Wave.
Oh,
And then Foolish Burial, Vajam. You need him.
Now the extra deck.
And now the extra deck. So you have the main man himself, which you'll probably never see, but he's amazing if you get him down. He's a 4,500 beater, 3,000 defender. In order to fusion him, you need a Unification or a Poly, and 3 Crimson Novas. That's a harsh bargain for this beast. So you get him
Is
out.
it worth it?
If you somehow get him out, I don't know why you'd want to. He can attack twice. All right. So when he
45?
declares an attack, he halves the opponent's life point immediately. Without him touching you, he'll have your life points. If he destroys a monster in combat, he can attack again, therefore having their health a second time and probably killing them. I have to read them. I never use them. When this card destroys a monster, you can attack again. If you would take effect damage, you take it, and then the opponent takes it as well. So if they burn you for 800, you'll still burn, but so will they. And then lastly, cannot be targeted or destroyed by monster's card effect. So he comes down, and you pretty much win, unless they somehow outbeat him with power, which you're in a tough spot at that point. But you should have enough cubic counters to stop that. I run Castel.
Enough said.
I like him because, alright, they MST your Spirit Barrier. No, you can negate it. You target one of their things instead. He's good, he's good, basically. You never really use the extra deck in here. Use it if you need extra options.
Baby big eye.
Yeah, you run the Arc to get rid of XYZs because they're usually a lot bigger. Cubics can't punch through, so you need other options to get rid of them. Same thing. This prevents graveyard effects. It can also kind of screw you if you do it on your turn, but you never really do that if you're smart. And then he's just a wall up, be an annoying beater.
Oh,
And that's pretty much it.
that looks
It's,
interesting.
Yeah.
Any suggestions if you would change the deck a bit?
Well, I run fairies, so if you need a little more oomph, you can run the beasts. The only problem with them is they're a much higher attack, but they need to destroy a monster in battle to get those Vajams back, whereas the fairies just have to fight.
Right.
And then there's a few other cubic spells that I would like to run, but are kind of trash. Like Cubic Mandala, you can look that up later if you want. It's fun, but it's pretty bad. And that's it. That's
Well,
my
thank you so much, my friend. Thank you for sharing your beautiful and terrifying cubic creatures.
Hopefully they'll become meta one day.
Oh yes, possibly, maybe indeed. All right, my bed duckies. As you see, we got the end of the deck profile. Hit that like button down below if you enjoyed the video. If you didn't, well, I might judge you a little bit, but I'm just a bastard. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, become a bastard. We know you are out there. Catch you later.